And when you're thinking about how do I value a house, usually, I like to think about 3 different data buckets that you look at in terms of where you get data from. So the first bucket is physical attributes about a house. So think number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, lot size, age of the house, all those things that describe homes. The second bucket of where we get data from is tax assessment. So think about what the city assessed or what the county assessed your home at, and what were the actual taxes paid on a home. And that's really important data. And so for some areas more so than others, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And then the third piece of data that we look at is prior sales information. And so it's really helpful for us to know, of course, what the home we're trying to value is sold at. Maybe that happened 2 months ago, or maybe that happened 5 years ago. But it's also really important to know what homes in the neighborhood sold at, especially if those homes are similar to your home that we're considering. So all these 3 data buckets help us in valuing home. And there are really 3 stages that we go through when we consider what to do in modeling Zestimate. The first stage is cleaning, and really I think it's one of the most important stages. If you've ever, if you think back to your days of doing any of this stuff in high school or college, if you ever had to write a paper and you use data, first thing you have to do is to clean that data, and I feel like that takes the most time, and we certainly spend a ton of time cleaning our data, because you want to make sure you're identifying only arm's length transactions, valid transactions that we can use to value a home. And when you clean all that data, which is a massive undertaking, you actually train models. So that's when you say, I know what a house actually sold for at the sale price, and then I can train all these characteristics. For example, I can train on tax assessments. And then the last part is scoring, which is where we have all the models set, so we know what a model should look like. And we apply it to all the homes in our database. Roughly 100 homes get a Zestimate applied to them of the 110 million homes that we actually have in the database. And, if this all sounds kind of like voodoo, kind of think of it like, you probably do this on an everyday kind of basis. You think of a fairly simple model, like, I know what the average price per square foot is in this area for a house. Say, homes sell for roughly $250 per square foot in this area, and I know roughly how large the house is. I have an estimate of square footage. You just multiply those 2 numbers to get a really rough idea of, how much is this house worth. That's the model right there. It's a very basic model, but it's the model. So you kind of do this on a daily basis yourself. And a little bit of animation there. And then at the end of the day, when we do all these things, we produce the Zestimate. And what I love about the Zestimate is that it comes with a range. Because think of the Zestimate as a point estimate. It's just a single point. But of course, it's an estimate. So it comes with a margin of error. There is a confidence interval around the estimate. And that's what we call, in layman's terms, a range. So right here you can look at, for this Zestimate that we valued at the house we valued at $549,000 roughly dollars. It came with a range of anywhere from $478,000 to $587,000, which basically means I wasn't exactly sure if this is the exact home value, but I do know it's roughly within this. I'm very confident it's within this range, and that's your first indication to give you some more information about is this a good Zestimate or a bad Zestimate. Because if you see a really wide range, then you're like, okay, I don't know how much I should really trust this point estimate. But if it's a really tight range, then you can be pretty confident that that home value is a pretty good one. So I find that range to be very informative. Now, in terms of how we use all these models to actually come up with estimates in different areas, is a slightly different process. So what you just saw right here, that's just how one model, just on a model by model basis, everything works. But then of course, we do this for actually 1.2 million models in the US. So what happens is we take the entire US and we split it into what we call micro-regions. And every single micro-region has a collection of homes that are fairly similar to one another. And they don't have to be lying next to each other. So it could be an area over here, and it could be an area over here, and something else in the middle. And this is especially important when you're looking at high-end homes, for example. Maybe there are a couple waterfront homes here, and another couple of high-end homes in the mountains over here, and they're similar to one another, so we put them together for training purposes. And that's a little micro-region. And what happens within each micro-region is what you see right here on this slide. In this micro-region, we have a whole bunch of sub-models that run. And, one sub, for example, sub-model 1 will be a combination of this modeling approach and an algorithm. So think of a hedonic model and a linear regression together, or an appraiser emulation together with a random forest approach. So we kind of pair the two, the model and the algorithm, and that makes a sub-model. And then we have a lot of these pairings, and they all run, and sometimes they do really well in an area, and sometimes they don't do so well. And then the meta model sits on top of that and decides which models do well and which models don't do well, because you can measure accuracy. We know what a home sold for, so we know how well this model actually does actually valuing the house. So over time, we learn a lot, and we can say, in Texas, anything having to do with prior sales prices doesn't do so well because it's a non-disclosure state, and we don't get great data on past sales. So models there don't do so well. In California, where you have Prop 13, which limits taxes on a home over time, a lot of the tax valuation models don't do very well, but the prior sales models do really well. So it kind of picks and chooses for every microregion, and there are thousands of microregions within a state, and it picks for every region which one does well. Think of it really like a winemaker, if you will. If you love wine and you've bought a nice blend, think of like a Merlot Shiraz blend or something like that. That's really what the winemaker will do, right? He'll take a couple of these grapes and a couple of these grapes, and he'll blend it together depending on if they're Oregon grapes or California grapes or maybe Washington grapes, and where they're from, and blends them together to make one perfect wine. That's what this meta model will do. Take all these sub-models, blend them together to make the perfect Zestimate in an area. And it works quite well. I mentioned that we do this we run a lot of these models, and we do this 3 times a week to produce estimates. To give you an idea of the scale, back in 2006 when we started doing all of this, we covered roughly 60 million homes in the US. And we had 34,000 models that we ran to produce estimates on the 60 million homes. Now we actually cover 106 million homes with our estimates. And we developed 1.2 million models 3 times a week to be able to estimate those homes. So it's quite the undertaking, but we've gotten quite good at it, and we're constantly improving. We have a whole team here in Seattle who actually look at making this model better all the time. Now, of course, you might say, well, that's great, but how do I know how good these models actually are? Well, we're extremely committed to transparency here at Zillow and making sure everyone knows what our accuracy is. So if you go to Zillow.com and you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, there's a link called Zestimate. If you click on that, it will bring you to this page with this table right here. And this table is updated every 3 months with our data accuracy. So you can see this table is actually was last updated on February 26th. And you can see we rate ourselves. Because we can compare a Zestimate that happened right before sale to the actual sale price. The Zestimate is blind to that data. It doesn't know what the sale price actually was. But it does have, you can measure it to what that sale actually was later on. So if you look at that, we can measure accuracy. And so nationally, you'll see our median error is 6.9%. Now if you're like, well, that doesn't tell me much of anything, if you're not, a math geek, that makes complete sense, then I recommend looking at ranges. So nationally, 85% of estimates fall within plus or minus 20% of sales. So you can see, maybe that's a fairly large range for you, or you're quite comfortable going plus minus 20%. If you say, well, I want a slightly tighter range, I can tell you that 64% of our estimates fall within plus or minus 10% of sales. So the bulk of the estimates are really quite tightly clustered around the actual sale price. That's nationally. This table lets you dig into metro areas and counties, so you can actually see, is this a 3-star estimate, 4-star estimate, and we'll tell you how many estimates we have in the area and these ranges. So you can pull up, right here we see Denver as a metro. And Denver does quite well. Your neighbor has 4-star estimates. And you can actually see 95% of estimates in the Denver area fall within plus or minus 20%. 81.2, which again is an extremely high number, actually fall within plus or minus 10% of the sale price. So quite good accuracy for Colorado over here. The great thing from a researcher's perspective is that our estimates are unbiased, which means that they're just as likely to be high as they are to be low, which works really well when you're trying to produce these time trends. The ones that we're just looking at over time, the DHVI, when you're looking at home values over time, since you're unbiased, you can fit in the median, and it works beautifully, and it's quite cool to have that data to play with. If this piqued your interest and you're like, well, that's just great, they have a lot of data and I'm interested in all of it, please go to Zillow.com/research. We take, again, great pride in producing unbiased reports and research pieces all the time. And we have, one of my favorite things are these Zillow market overviews that you can download for Colorado Springs. And we actually have a home value report and we have a rental report. So, and I do believe we have them in the showcase as well for you to take home. They're printed on glossy paper, if I'm not mistaken. They'll have all the information that we talked about today. They'll talk about break-even horizon. They'll talk about negative equity, home values. You can find a median sale price on there if you're interested in that. Listing information, foreclosure data. So really cool data that you can get on these reports. And then check out our website if you actually want to really dig into the data. We have Excel spreadsheets with all this stuff. So you can, kind of geek out to a whole lot of data. Hopefully this was informative to you, and I'll hand it back over to Mitch. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I thank you for your time.
All right, you can clap. She'll hear you. Thank you, Svenja. Not many people know that is her actual size in person, too. I hope she didn't hear me say that. Well, she's gone. Okay. So hopefully that was informative and some good local information there as well.